It's 6 p.m. on a Tuesday. You pull into the driveway, but it's not your driveway. It's your parents' driveway. You walk past the same family photos that have been hanging there since 2005, head to your childhood bedroom, and close the door. You open Instagram and see your college roommate posting a photo of their new luxury apartment downtown with the exposed brick and the view. And instantly, you feel it. That heavy, sinking feeling in your gut. The shame. The feeling that you are failing at the one thing adulthood is supposed to be about. Independence. But I need you to pause right there. Because what if I told you that the shame you're feeling is actually the most expensive emotion in the American economy? What if I told you that your roommate with the exposed brick wall is technically poorer than you are, and that gap is widening by about $100 every single day? Welcome to the harsh reality of 2020 Seoul. I'm Max, and I'm here to help you build real wealth in a broken economy. Let's play out a scenario. We'll call it the Thanksgiving interrogation. Picture this. You're sitting there, trying to enjoy your turkey, and your Aunt Linda, who bought her house in 1998 for the price of a used Honda Civic, leans over and asks the question. So when are you going to get your own place? Don't you think it's time to launch? Cha-ching. That sound? That's the sound of the financial industry praying you listen to Aunt Linda. Because right now, there is a massive marketing machine designed to convince you that living with your parents past age 22 is a moral failure. They call it failure to launch. They call it being a man-child or a mooch. But I call it something different. I call it the pride tax. In 2020s, the average rent for a one-bedroom apartment in a decent metro area has hit $2,200. In cities like New York, Austin, or Miami, you're looking at $3,500 easy. And that's just rent. That doesn't include the $150 for parking, the $80 for internet, the renter's insurance, or the electricity bill that somehow doubles in the summer. When you move out solely because you feel awkward bringing a date home to your mom's house, or because you're tired of explaining your living situation to your coworkers, you are paying a pride tax of roughly $30,000 a year. That is $30,000 of post-tax money. Do you know how hard you have to work to earn $30,000 cash in your pocket? If you make $75,000 a year, that is basically 4 to 5 months of your life, every single year, handed over to a landlord just so you can avoid an awkward conversation at Thanksgiving. Society tells you that moving out is buying freedom. But if you look at the math of 2026, where a starter home costs $500,000 and interest rates are refusing to drop, moving out prematurely isn't buying freedom. It's financing an illusion. You are trading your actual financial future for the appearance of success today. Now, I know what you're thinking. But I need my space. I need to grow up. And you're right. There is a value to independence. But there is a specific mathematical tipping point where moving out creates a hole in your finances that you can never fill. There is a specific net worth number you need to hit before you sign that lease. And if you move out before you hit it, you might be setting your retirement back by a decade. We're going to calculate that exact number in a minute. But first, we have to look at the invisible costs that almost everyone ignores. Because if you think rent is the only thing draining your bank account when you leave the nest, you are in for a rude awakening. Let's simulate your first month of freedom. You sign the lease on that one-bedroom apartment. The rent is $2,100. That hurts, but you did the math, and it's technically under 35% of your gross income. You think you're responsible. You think you're safe. Then, reality hits you like a pop-up ad you can't close. Pop. Security deposit, $2,100. Gone. Pop. First and last month's rent, $4,200. Pop. Utility setup fees, Wi-Fi installation, renter's insurance, parking permit. Suddenly, you're $7,000 in the hole before you've even unpacked your toothbrush. But let's ignore the startup costs for a second. Let's look at the monthly bleed. Most people look at a rental listing and see one number, $2,100. But that number is a lie. You need electricity and gas. That's $150. You need high-speed internet because you work from home 2 days a week. That's $90. You need water, sewer, and trash. Often another $60. You need furniture, because sleeping on the floor gets old after age 22. That affordable IKEA trip just put $2,500 on your credit card. And here is the kicker. Food. When you lived at home, the fridge was magically restocking itself. Maybe you chipped in for groceries, but you weren't buying everything. Now, every single ketchup bottle, every roll of paper towels, every sponge is coming out of your pocket. In 2026, the inflation basket for a single person's household basics, cleaning supplies, toiletries, pantry staples, averages about $400 a month on top of regular groceries. So your $2,100 rent is actually a $3,100 life operating system bill. Let's look at a real-world example. Meet independent Albert. Albert is 26. He makes $65,000 a year working in logistics. In 2019, Albert would have been killing it. In 2020s, Albert is a financial ghost. After taxes and benefits, Albert takes home about $400 a month. He pays $2,000 for his apartment to feel like an adult. He pays $400 for his car payment. He pays $200 for insurance. He pays $300 for student loans. He pays $800 for food, utilities, and basics. Do the math. Albert has $400 left. Total. $400 for clothes, for gifts, for a beer with friends, for car repairs. If Albert needs new tires, he is in debt. If he gets invited to a wedding, he is in debt. Albert has freedom, sure. He can walk around his living room in his underwear at 2 p.m. on a Saturday. But that privilege is costing him 100% of his ability to build wealth. He is running on a treadmill set to the maximum speed, sweating through his shirt, going absolutely nowhere. Now, imagine if Albert made a different choice. Imagine if he swallowed his pride, stayed in his old bedroom with the faded posters, and endured his dad's jokes about the lawn. Where does that $2,000 a month go? It doesn't vanish into a landlord's pocket. It doesn't disappear into the electric company's bank account. It stays with Albert. And this is where the magic happens. Because we're not talking about saving a few extra bucks for a PS6. We are talking about the difference between being a wage slave for 40 years and being structurally wealthy by age 30. Most people think, I'll move out now and save later when I make more money. That is the single biggest mathematical error you can make. By age 30, the difference between the Albert path and the stay-at-home path isn't a few $1,000s. It's enough to buy an entire lifestyle. Let's look at the chart. Let's reset the simulation. We're going to introduce a new character. Let's call her Basement Bella. Bella is also 26. She has the exact same job as Albert, making the exact same $65,000 a year. But Bella made a choice that her coworkers make fun of behind her back. She decided to stay in her childhood bedroom for 3 more years. Now, Bella isn't a mooch. She pays her parents $500 a month in board. This covers her share of the groceries and keeps the peace. It buys her the right to not be treated like a teenager. But here is the critical difference. Albert is spending $2,500 a month to survive in his apartment. Bella is spending $500 a month to live at home. That leaves Bella with a $2,000 surplus every single month. Now, if Bella blows that money on designer bags and trips to Tulum, she's just as broke as Albert. But Bella is smart. She treats that $2,000 not as spending money, but as rent to her future self. She automatically transfers it into a boring low-cost index fund. Let's hop into the time machine. It's 3 years later. Albert and Bella are both 29. They walk into a bank to apply for a mortgage because they're finally ready to buy that starter home. Albert walks up to the loan officer. He has a stack of receipts for 3 years of rent payments. That's $90,000 he paid to his landlord. He has zero equity. He has about $4,000 in his savings account because, remember, he's been living paycheck to paycheck. The loan officer looks at his debt-to-income ratio and politely shows him the door. Then Bella walks in. She has invested $2,000 a month for 36 months. That's $72,000 in principal. But because the market has historically compounded at around 7 to 10%, her account isn't sitting at $72,000. It's likely sitting closer to $85,000 or $90,000 depending on the market cycle. Albert has receipts. Bella has a 20% down payment on a $450,000 house. Albert is stressed, tired, and desperate for a raise just to keep his head above water. Bella is walking in with the kind of confidence that only comes from having nearly 6 figures of liquidity before your 30th birthday. This is what I call the compound gap. When you rent in your 20s, you aren't just paying for shelter. You are burning your seed capital. You are taking the soldiers that are supposed to be out there fighting for your financial freedom, your dollars, and you are firing them. Every $1 you spend on rent today is $10 you don't have in retirement. So when people say, "I'm throwing money away on rent," they don't realize how true that is. You aren't just throwing away the cash value, you are throwing away the time value. Living at home allows you to compress a decade of saving into 3 years. It is a cheat code. It is a glitch in the matrix. And in an economy where the average house costs $500,000, you cannot afford to play by the standard rules anymore. You need the cheat code. But I know what you're screaming at the screen right now. "But Max, you don't understand my parents. They treat me like I'm 12. I have a curfew. I can't date. No amount of money is worth my mental health." I hear you. The math is easy, the psychology is hard. Living with parents as an adult can be a nightmare if you don't set boundaries. You don't want to be 28 and asking for permission to use the car. So, how do you live at home without losing your mind or your dating life? I have a 3-rule framework that turns you from a child into a tenant instantly. Let's be real, living with your parents isn't all sunshine and compound interest. It can be psychologically draining. If your mom is still asking, "Who are you texting?" at 10 p.m., or if your dad is judging how late you sleep on Saturdays, the financial gain starts to feel less worth it. You start to feel like you're regressing, but here is the secret. The dynamic only feels childish if you act like a child. If you want to be treated like an adult while living under their roof, you have to reframe the relationship. You need to fire your parents as parents and rehire them as landlords you happen to be related to. Imagine a landlord. Does a landlord care if you didn't eat your vegetables? No. Does a landlord care if you didn't make your bed? No. A landlord cares about 2 things. Did the check clear and did you burn the place down? Here is the 3-rule framework to save your sanity. Rule number 1. The tenant agreement. You must pay rent. I don't care if they refuse it. If they won't take cash, pay the electric bill, pay the internet bill, buy all the groceries for the house. Why? Because the moment money changes hands, the power dynamic shifts. You are no longer a dependent, you are a contributor. You are a board member of the household corporation. When you contribute financially, you buy the right to say, "I'm going out, see you later," instead of, "Can I go out?" Rule number 2. The ghost protocol. Be a ghost. Do your own laundry, cook your own meals, clean your own bathroom. If your mom is still doing your laundry at 26, you deserve to be treated like a child. The goal is to make your presence net positive. Your parents should feel like life is easier when you are there, not harder. If you are a burden, they will resent you. If you are an asset, they will respect you. Rule number 3. The dating reframe. This is the big one. I can't bring anyone home. Look, dating while living at home is awkward. There is no way around it, but you can reframe it. When you are on a date, do not apologize for your living situation. Do not say, "Ugh, yeah, I'm stuck with my parents right now." That sounds pathetic. Instead, say this: "I'm actually staying with my family for a bit to stack cash. I'm on track to buy a place cash heavy in about 18 months. Do you hear the difference? The first one sounds like a failure. The second one sounds like a strategy. And honestly, if someone judges you for making a calculated financial decision to secure a wealthy future, they probably aren't the kind of partner you want to build a life with anyway. You use living at home as a filter. You want a partner who understands delayed gratification. But even with these rules, you will feel the pressure. You will see ads for furniture you can't buy. You will see your friends hosting dinner parties in apartments they can barely afford. And that is by design. The entire economy is engineered to make you feel uncomfortable living at home. Because a multi-generational household is a disaster for corporate profits, they need you to move out. They need you to be lonely, broke, and consuming. Let's zoom out. Why does every commercial, every sitcom, and every adulting meme push the narrative that you must move out at 18? It's not just culture. It's economics. Imagine a household with 2 parents and 1 adult child. They have 1 internet bill, 1 toaster, 1 couch, 1 heating bill. Now, imagine that adult child moves out. Suddenly, the economy doubles its sales. 2 internet bills, 2 toasters, 2 couches, 2 heating bills. Economists call this household formation, and it is the lifeblood of consumerism. When you stay home, you are effectively shorting the retail sector. You are boycotting the furniture industry, the utility companies, and the credit card issuers who prey on people furnishing their first apartments. Pottery Barn hates this. Comcast hates this. Visa hates this. The system wants you broke. It wants you to be a consumer unit of 1. It wants you isolated, paying retail for everything, and too stressed to think about the long game. But if you look globally, the American obsession with moving out is the anomaly. In Italy, in South Korea, in many parts of Latin America, living with family until marriage, or even after, is normal. It's how families build dynasty wealth. They pool resources. They don't duplicate expenses. They lift each other up. In the US, we call it failure. In the rest of the world, they call it strategy. When you decide to stay home, you aren't just saving money. You are rejecting a consumerist script that was written to extract wealth from you. You are acknowledging that the game has changed. In 1970, you could move out at 18 working a factory job and buy a house at 22. In 2026, moving out at 18 often guarantees you will be renting until you are 50. The math of the standard American path is broken. It assumes cheap housing, low inflation, and steady wage growth. We have none of those things right now. So you have to be radical. You have to accept that your path will look different from your parents' path. You have to be okay with looking behind in the short term to be light years ahead in the long term. But, and this is a massive but, you cannot stay forever. There is a danger zone. If you stay too long, you risk becoming complacent. You risk arrested development where you never truly learn to stand on your own 2 feet. You become comfortable in the safety net and forget how to fly. So you need an exit strategy. You need a launch number, a specific hard target that tells you, okay, mission accomplished. It is time to go. So what is your number? Do not just say, I'll move out when I feel ready. Feelings are fickle. Feelings will get you to sign a lease you can't afford because you had a bad day at work. You need cold, hard math. Here is the launch formula I recommend for 2020s. You are ready to move out when you have 0 high-interest debt. Credit cards, personal loans, gone. A fully funded 6-month emergency fund. Calculated based on your future expenses, not your current ones. The Freedom Fund. This is a separate investment account with at least $50,000 in it. Why $50,000? Because $50,000 compounding for 30 years without you adding another dime turns into nearly $500,000. That is your retirement safety net, secured before you even start your real life. If you hit these 3 benchmarks, you have my permission to leave. You have earned your independence. But while you are still in the cocoon, while you are still grinding in that childhood bedroom, you have to follow the golden rule of the stay-at-home strategy. You must not inflate your lifestyle. If you are living at home and driving a brand new $60,000 truck, you are a clown. If you are living at home and spending $400 a weekend at bars, you are wasting the opportunity. If you are living at home and not investing at least 50% of your income, you are disrespecting the sacrifice your parents are making for you. You have to live like you are broke so that you never have to be broke again. Close your eyes for a second. Imagine yourself at 30. Most of your friends are stressed. They have $15,000 in credit card debt. They rent apartments they complain about. They dread Monday mornings because they need that paycheck to survive. Now imagine you. You drive a paid-off car. You have a portfolio that makes money while you sleep. You are looking for houses, and you are writing offers with a 50% down payment. You walk into work with your head high because you don't need the job. You choose it. That is the prize. That is what you are buying with your pride tax. That is why you endure the awkward comments from Aunt Linda. So, if you are watching this from your childhood bedroom right now, don't feel shame. Feel power. You are the CEO of your own future, and you are executing a hostile takeover of your financial freedom. Stay focused, stack cash, and let them laugh. You'll be the one laughing all the way to the bank. If you want to know exactly how to invest that $2,000 surplus so it grows as fast as possible, make sure you're subscribed because we're breaking down the 2026 portfolio in the next video.